My name is Dr. Jane McPherson. I'm Director of Global Engagement here at the School of Social Work, and I'm here to welcome you to Global Social Work Day. Global Social Work Day is an actual thing, right? This is Social Work Month, March, and this is Global Social Work Day. It was established in 2007 by the International Federation of Social Work. In the US, we tend to kind of connect more closely with the National Association, our US association, but we are part of a much larger global social work profession. And today we are going to learn about that, and I'm going to let some of our student presenters talk and introduce themselves. But one of the real pleasures of teaching and working and learning here at the school is that we do have a global community. We have many students from around the world, who many of whom bring tremendous experience with them, working in nonprofits or really spearheading social change initiatives. And we're going to hear about from three of those students today and about their work in their home countries. So I think we're really lucky to have that. And I would like to welcome the Dean, who we thank for lunch. May we thank the Dean for lunch? Who will also welcome us today.
Okay. Hello, everybody. So those of you who don't know me, my name is Philip Hong, and I'm the Dean of the School of Social Work. Some familiar faces. All the students, faculty, staff, I really appreciate you gathering on this special day. We call this day the World Social Work Day, and we're here to celebrate the day that is celebrated across the world on the third Tuesday of March. And we gather on this day as an opportunity for social workers and others in human services to celebrate our achievements, as well as to raise awareness and support for the important role that social workers play in the lives of children, families, and communities. Yes, absolutely. And the day calls attention to the need for further planning, development, and support for the profession and social service sector. And the theme is, as you see, I think you might have seen a screen up there, the Buen Vivir. Is that a good pronunciation of the
We can ask
word?
Laura, she's our...
Yeah, is it Buen Vivir?
Yeah, Buen Vivir.
Vivir.
Yeah.
Buen Vivir. Is it living well?
Yeah.
It's living well, right? Yeah, living well. Buen Vivir. Shared future for transformative change, which emphasizes the need for social workers to adopt innovative, community-led approaches that are grounded in indigenous wisdom and harmonious coexistence with future. It's kind of the tagline that I was able to take from the International Federation of Social Workers website, but that's kind of what the theme means this year, for us to be really grounded in the community, the wisdom from the community, bottom-up approaches, the models that social workers represent, and the successes we've seen because we have locked arms with the community members to walk the walk and really live out the living well mission of social workers. So we want to celebrate some of our students and all the great work that you've done, the current work and the past work and the future work you'll be doing in the global context, what social work at UGA represents as we do global outreach and connect with various ways in which we can create impact locally, globally. Sometimes we call it glocally, right? Thinking globally and acting locally. So all ways that we want to be connected to the global context, we want to celebrate that today. So welcome and congratulations to the presenters today. We really appreciate your wisdom that you would be imparting for all of us to share the journey with you, and then maybe with a shared commitment for the future of global social work we will be part of. So thank you again and welcome.
Thank you, Dean Hong. All right, and everyone, the lunch will remain up during the presentations. Please help yourselves, sign in, support us, support the students, and thank you for being here. Who is going to, Nish, are you first?
Yes.
Excellent.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. First and foremost, I'm so much excited for sharing my community engagement in Tanzania with you today. But before I go further into using my 10 minutes effectively, I would like to recognize a few people who took their time to come here. Ryan, who is Executive Director of the Bigger Vision, where I intern with another representative from the office. Matthew, please, if you don't mind, help me give them a lot of applause for coming here. Yeah, this lab, thank you very much for that. So a little bit about me. I'm a Chief Executive Officer of the Domicile of Success organization. That is Doso Safe Space, operating in Tanzania mainland. I'm also a director of the Success Academy that we are offering international languages with computer training to enhance digital literacy to youth in Tanzania. As well, I've taught at TUMI Theological Seminary. I've taught communication skills to pastors doing their degrees and different levels of education over there. After I taught a number of secondary schools. And then I was a Fulbright at the University of Georgia, teaching Swahili since 2021 to 2023 before I joined MSW. I'm currently teaching Introduction to Africa in African Studies. I didn't mention MSW because that's where I am right now. Okay, so this is Domicile of Success organization. These are some of the people, my colleagues that I work with in Tanzania. And we are working with diverse groups. We have a lot of, like, our organization is framed to work with different people, but we are supporting them by different percents. As you can see, we have children 7%, youth 50%, and then people with disabilities 35%, women 8%. So we started working this 2019. Before 2019, we started working specifically in 2017. But 2019, we got registration to operate in the whole country. So we've been growing slowly, as you can see. I'm trying to go very quickly. So these are some of our projects that we do with secondary schools. And our organization specifically has 4 areas. We are working to support our community in education, in digital literacy, in entrepreneurship skills to youth, and also we are working to support the community in different projects as you are going to see down here. So this was a project called Naongea na Wewe, I Speak to You, that we were talking to girls in Bunda district. Specifically, Naongea na Wewe means I speak to you. This is Swahili. So our team members were talking to these kids in terms of how this gender-based violence in Bunda district is a district that is operated by this female genital mutilation. So our team was kind of giving awareness to these kids sometimes to give voice to themselves. Sometimes they don't need to accept these kind of practices. They need to give voice to themselves, but the country doesn't accept that. But down underneath, people, or I can say members of specific communities still do that. Also, we have had some digital literacy to youth, training them. But also we have had, and this is a televised project, which is currently funded by the US Embassy. They give us some little amount of money that we started implementing on August. So this project, we are moving around to different secondary schools trying to educate them, because a lot of kids in Tanzania are from the poor background. So some of them can't speak, some of them are not confident. So we are trying to give them questions and answers. So it's a kind of interactive approach between teachers and students, and then it's stories aired out every Saturday on Star TV. You can even find it on Facebook. So we have English course programs. This is way back before we had started. So we had about 200 students graduating. There I was cutting the cake with them. The cake reached success, like you guys will be successful. Also, we have the direct support. However, the picture looks a little bit blurry. So it's a direct support, materials and stationaries, uniforms, exercise books. And this program, we do it specifically to students who have greater chances for success in the schools by talking to head of schools and matrons or whatever, those patrons who can identify some students who have greater chances for success, but their lives or their background happens to be a stumbling block to their success. So what we do, we support them, uniforms, shoes, exercise books, whatever, that we can do, that we do every 3 months through schools. So here we organized the Mtoto Africa. As you can see, I was in front of the procession. So that day, no any vehicles were allowed to move around. Everything was stopped. We were just moving. Mtoto Africa means the child of Africa. So I think this is the world event probably known. So this was one of the years that was celebrated in Mwanza, and then we were on the way heading to the event. There are some youth and women entrepreneurship advocacy. So we had our members talking to women, to youth about life skills, about different topics there. So we have had some volunteers from Finland and Denmark coming to volunteer. So whenever they come, we sometimes take them to some specific schools, but also we have our own center. We have 101 kids that we stay with. So these volunteers come there and help us teach whatever they can do to make sure they bring the smile on the faces of these kids. So we succeeded to establish the Success Academy that specifically we teach languages in there, but also we have different programs. Some people register because through this academy we get some money, some funds to support the organization to keep going, so that whenever we don't have any kind of support from outside, we can keep supporting ourselves. So from this, we have enrollment, 10% of every enrollment outside our own students, that keeps the organization running. So in search for folks to partner with, I met the ambassador of, Zambia in the United States. So we kind of talked and shared some things, and then was kind of in search of the folks that we can work together. But also, this is our volunteer. On the other side is a PhD student right here. So he escorted me to go to the mayor of Athens. I think it was 2022. So we met also in search for folks that can support the organization. But also some of the pictures, I think unfortunately are not here. But we met with Brian Watkins and Dr. Martin Kagel from the Office of Global Engagement, in search to see if UGA can partner with us, probably in sending some volunteers. For example, we have some study abroad programs going to be coming there and do something for the community. So we had that last year, and our conversations are still in progress, but I can promise it's going good. Thank you so much.
I hope we've got some volunteers ready to sign up. Laura, thank you. Take over.
Okay, so I'm Laura Villegas from Colombia. I'm an MSW student, so I would like to talk about the interconnection between human rights and social work, because in my country that is something that is pretty important. And we have been suffering Colombia and our conflict for more than 60 years. So that's right. Yeah, so that's mean that my generation, my parent generation, we don't know how it's to live in peace, you know? So that is something that is really challenging, you know? So for that reason, it's pretty important as a social workers that we can promote peace building efforts in the country, and also we can promote reconciliation initiative in the territory. So I'm going to talk about one of the experience with women that suffer sexual violence. So that is something that is really exciting for me. So what is the dimension of the armed conflict in Colombia? You know, the public policy that we have to implement. So right now we have 9 million victims. That means that it can be 7% of the population of the country. So it's a huge challenge, right? So in that universe, we have 8 million of internally displaced people, IDPs in the country. And plus, right now, we have 2 million of refugees from Venezuela. That is so complex, you know, situation right now. And I used to work with the government for many years, and we realized that at some point that we can identify that we have 4,000 women survivors of sexual violence. But it's something that is pretty complex too, because the effects, we can find a lot of layers, because you can suffer internal displacement, but at the same time you can be suffer torture or maybe other sexual violence. So it's pretty hard how to address these kind of topics. So, but it's sorry, I don't know if I have. Yeah. So, but it's something happened 7 years ago. Yeah. No more. No. My maths, no. And it was the peace deal. It was something really huge in my country. It was a milestone in the history of Colombia, because in that point we start to have some hope, because we can live in a different country, because the oldest guerrilla that is the FARC guerrilla signed a peace deal. And it was amazing to have to experiment that experience. So in this process, the victim was the core of the negotiation. So the result of the peace deal was a public policy for victims. And it's pretty different, because transitional justice includes like a peace court. So all the crimes committed with the parts going to that special court, and they create a truth commission. Thank you. And it was inspired for a lot of international experience, like South Africa, Rwanda, Bosnia, I have Ireland too, So it was pretty interesting to receive all the support of the international community. So, and we have reparation there too. So what we are realizing the point that the use of sexual violence as a weapon of war, and it's something that was really powerful, because for many years it was an invisible crime, for all the bias related with that. And now that we have a transitional justice, you can be involved in a legal process. So it's really hard for the victims to talk about this. So for that reason, we create a mental health program for victims of sexual violence in the context of the armed conflict. And it was amazing experience, It was because at the beginning it was so hard to engage with the victim, because anyone wanted to talk about this, But we try to develop different strategies to engage with them. And we developed some trauma-informed support services. And I want to highlight two approaches that we use, and I think it's very important here. And it's the narrative therapy and the art therapy. Because I was trying to explain this, but I think narrative in the armed conflict, because always the perpetrators, they can have the power about the storytelling, They want to deny what happened. They want to talk about other things. So for the victims, it's so important that their voices are amplified, They can talk about that's happened, and why. And they can show that it was not some individual cases, it was a systematic violation of human rights, It's something that is happened. So we use narrative therapy and art therapy, and that is called intransitional justice. I don't know, that is the pronunciation, but it's memorialization process. That is something that is very important for dignify the victims. So we use that, so you can see some picture about that experience that was amazing. And other thing that we try to do with the art, because they create in the process a lot of art pieces, and we try to create exhibition, museums, different strategies to show that to all the community. So it was so important, and at the same time, we try to give them financial education, because reparation includes monetary compensation for the damage, you know. So some of the women, they want to invest in a house, you know. They want to invest that money in something that, like education for their kids, you know, or maybe a small business. They want to create a small business too, you know. So that is so important for us to provide, and of course, help them to navigate in the legal system, in the Peace Corps, because it can be pretty hard for them. So I think I talked about this before. So yeah, this happened in all the country, you know. We tried to just share some art. The program was amazing. Actually, we have like a virtual museum. I'm going to share with you guys the link because it's very important. You can share, or maybe I can just show you a little what's something. Yeah, this is the virtual experience. Actually, it's with money from USA, American sponsors, so that is extra point. Yeah, so you can just go here.
Hola, bienvenidos y bienvenidas a este recorrido virtual de
Yeah,
Andariega,
so you can go here
carpa itinerante de la memoria.
and try to see all
Hemos
like a
recreado
real experience.
a través del menú que está dispuesto en la zona lateral de la pantalla.
Yeah, so that was amazing to just consolidate all the screens, you know. So it was a huge work. It was a team, not just me, you know. Yeah. So I want to share a video with the screen. It's pretty short, but I want to.
He vivido prácticamente toda mi vida acá en Urabá. La violencia siempre pasaba alrededor de uno, pero nunca me imaginé que fuera a tocarme. Cuando tenía pues mis 19 años fui víctima.
Soy de Chicoroda, Antioquia. Soy víctima de violencia sexual. También he sido víctima de reclutamiento ilícito. Vivo con mis hijas, mis 4 hijas. Siempre hemos estado las 4 juntas. Pertenezco a una asociación de mujeres emprendedoras. Lo que hacemos es arte, hacemos desde baile, teatro, música, poesía.
La estrategia que venimos desarrollando desde el 2014 nace a raíz de la necesidad que vemos de tantas mujeres que hoy sufren el hecho victimizante y es delitos contra la integridad sexual. En el país contamos con más de 19.000 personas inscritas en el RUP de esa población. Nosotros las contactamos, identificamos dentro del RUP cuáles son estas mujeres que están próximas o que son indemnizadas porque ellas reciben una indemnización administrativa. Las llamamos y las invitamos a que hagan parte de esta estrategia.
La reparación integral de las víctimas en las mujeres para mí fue de gran bendición.
Yeah, I think it's really hard to read, but yeah, this experience was really important for me. It was really hard at the end because it's important to say that it can affect in secondary trauma. So that is something that as a social worker we have to be aware. But okay, that's the experience of Colombia. It's just one recommendation for you because we're talking about narrative. So if you want to learn about some Colombia, okay, so there is a TV show because the narrative is so important, you know. I don't want to use the word sick, but it's so hard to hear all the narrative about TV show from Colombia. So I have a recommendation for you. And it's a TV show on Netflix that is called The Witness, El Testigo, and it's a beautiful piece that you want to learn about the armed conflict in Colombia. So, thank you, everyone.
And for all of us here, I'm going to ask all of our presenters to send me some of these links to their organizations and their projects, and I'll be sending all of that out to faculty and staff. So we have one final presentation. I hope you're really impressed. This is remarkable stuff. We really have tremendous talent here. Emmanuel will take it away, and then we will have time for a little discussion. And there's plenty more.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Emmanuel, but you are going to work with me on this journey. We have just 10 minutes, and I have a 4-minute video I would love you to watch. Then I'll just do a quick background about me. So I'm from Lagos, Nigeria, and I grew up in one of the most challenging environments called Makoko. Makoko is a slum and often referred to as the world's largest floating slum. However, the slum is just a place. It does not define the people who live there. All right, you can see this picture. Look at that young girl sitting down. Just switch it back, change her face, and picture me in that canoe. That is how I grew up. All right, so what are the challenges of the environment? Now, we have, as cities grow rapidly, the number of slum residents is expected to increase from 1 billion to 3 billion citizens by 2050 in Africa. And according to the National Bureau of Statistics, 40% of Nigeria's 212 million population live in poverty. And we have 54% of Nigerians live in slums or informal settlements, and poor access to formal education is one of the major causes of poverty in Nigeria. A recent study by UNICEF indicates that 1 in every 5 of the world's out-of-school children is in Nigeria, leaving us at 18.5 million Nigerian children aged 5 to 14 out of school. In addition, United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, reported that no fewer than 70% of Nigerians are suffering from learning poverty. What is learning poverty? According to the World Bank Group, learning poverty is the inability of a child aged 10 to read or understand basic sentences or carry out simple arithmetic functions. Now, these statistics are very troubling, right? They are not just statistics for the community, for Makoko, where I come from. These are real people, real children, real families. And growing up in that community, I noticed this, and I witnessed on the first hand the dangers of lack of access to education, lack of access to electricity, lack of access to school. And this was what led us to start the first of its kind tuition-free school in my community. I did this in partnership with a friend, Noah Shemede, who is that young man standing up there, is my hero. He was the one that started it, and when he told me about it, I joined him. All these faces you see here today, this was as far back as 2009. They are in different stages of their post-primary education today. It's a tuition-free school for all the children in the community because the community is neglected. And as I speak till date, it has no presence of any government support. But ballot buses get to the community, trust me. But they don't remember us. When it's time for election, they come. All right, but we don't have to wait for government to start change. So that was how the school started. This was the former structure that we have. In 2010, in 2020, this was when we rebuilt the school to this. But before then, something significant happened. In 2012, we got the first floating school in the world. But the school got demolished by the storm. And we had to resort back to the structure we were using because since inception, we started with 64 children, and to date, every year, we are responsible for the education of 200 children in the slum for free. All right, so just shortly after COVID-19, we changed the uniform from yellow and blue to this beautiful Adire material. And this is me here with some of these faces. They just graduated. They are now in junior high school. So they came by to visit me. This picture was taken shortly before I came to UGA. All right. That's the first part of my story. The second part is me embracing the power of the gift of chess. And since then, the story has not remained the same. I'm going to let us watch a very short video, and then I'll come back and conclude. Thank you.
Home again, home again. One day I know I'll be home again, home again. One day I know I feel strong again. Lift my head. Many times I've been told all this talk will make you old. So I'll close my eyes, look behind, moving on, moving on. So I'll close my eyes, look behind, moving on. One day I know I'll pass through course. You look good. Smile. Yeah, I feel your brother. I look good. One day I hope to make you smile again. I won't speaking mine just before, so I'll close my eyes, will look behind, moving on, moving on. So I'll close my eyes, and the tears will clear. Then I feel no fear. Then I feel no way. My paths will be made straight.
All right. Thank you.
Would you like to close?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so today we commemorate another day, and it is a day that is set aside to celebrate every one of us here seated as social workers in the making. And I close with these remarks that let us carry forward the spirit of resilience and hope from places like Makoko, applying our skills and compassion to every child, to every family, to every individual, every organization, and every community that we are able to support. And it is possible to do great things from a small place. Thank you all.
So, what tremendous words, what a wonderful closing. I hope you all join me. Can we give a round of applause, please, to Emmanuel, Shanika, and to Laura? We are all so proud of you and impressed by you and grateful for what you bring to our school. So, thank you very, very, very much. In closing, I wonder if anyone would like to ask a question or make a comment for these remarkable speakers today. We've heard such a range of ideas. Please.
I was just going to say that this is really inspiring, and it's the heart of what social work is about. Making lives better, contributing positively, making our impacts felt in whatever capacity we're able to. some of them, the presenters, the speakers, because it's extremely inspiring. And I truly hope that all of us sitting here will continue to impact the world in our capacities and in various ways that we are able to.
Thank you very much. And please know that I'm always recruiting speakers. If there are other students here among you who would like to present, to bring your own work forward, I think we want to celebrate the accomplishments of our students, and this doesn't always come out in classes, right? We need to come together for these kinds of celebrations. Other comments? Dr. KJ. Did you hear the question? It was, what can we do as a school to amplify your work and your message? Please stand up.
Okay, thank you. I think I would personally say you can always share the good news. You can share the good news about the work that we are doing. If we find anybody who is interested in doing that, you can always reach out, Dr. McPherson or anybody, and then we can all come together to do something to change the society. Because at the end of the day, what matters is not what you had, but what you gave. Not how much you smiled, but how many smiles did you make?
These guys are great speakers, right? Yeah. Wow. Please, Emmanuel.
Okay, I think that's a very beautiful question you just asked, and it's something I am deeply passionate about. So early this year, I got a grant of 100,000 euros for my nonprofit, and we are also...
Can we just stop with that? A grant for 100,000 euros for this nonprofit.
Thank you. And alongside, we are at the verge of closing another $50,000 grant for the same nonprofit. But the 100,000 euros grant is a very huge one because it's from Lufthansa Group in Germany, and the goal is to build a world-class innovation hub in Nigeria. And that is what we are. So to answer this question, Dr. Yaskai, I call her my mother, by the way. She's my research supervisor. So the need for me that I would say is I'm really looking forward to how social work can collaborate, one, in terms of strengthening our monitoring and evaluation processes, and also in terms of research contribution, R&D, to further deepen our evidence-based approaches and systems that we have. So that is something, I remember when I got that notification, I sent out a mail, I put it in copy to Jennifer, and I really look forward to that conversation. I'm open. The nonprofit Chess in Slums has been invited to Oxford University. Oxford has a publication on us, and I'm also glad to share that I have an abstract that just got accepted by the International Society for Third Sector Research. Please let me give another round of applause to Dr. Yatsai because she shared this opportunity. She's already doing that, and I really look forward to more of it, especially from the School of Social Work. The benefit is immense. Beyond the work we do for social work, there is also that part of visibility. And as I speak right now, in Africa, Chess in Slum is like the darling organization of everybody, and every corporations want to be associated with us. They want to, in fact, we are at the point where we don't know how to, we are screening who to partner with because everybody just want to come. And I feel it would be a good thing to also put the image of the University of Social Work, UGA School of Social Work out there.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I will say that changing the narrative around in my country, for example, in my country, I have to face a lot of stereotypes, about their conflict or other things. So I think if you can explain, what is the conflict, what is the complexity of this problem that we have. We can understand more what happened and why the people decide just how the migration starts, because it's not because you want to leave your country, it's something that is more complex than that. So I think change the narrative will be helpful for change the mindset.
So I thank you all for being here for World Social Work Day. It has really been a wonderful celebration. Tremendous work by all of you. As I've said, I will invite you all, please send me these videos, links to your projects, and I will send that out to the whole school. And we have this presentation being recorded. We've already had requests for the recording in Africa, and we'll be able to share this recording with others. So that's very exciting. And you've given us ideas and ways that the School of Social Work can collaborate. So thank you again. As I will let you all stand up, but we would love to have a final picture. If you're willing to come forward and have just a picture of everybody at the school for this celebration of World Social Work Day, we would appreciate it. Thank you very much.